It's time to chill out and get ready for a mediocre Q&A live stream. If you're old enough, grab yourself your favorite adult beverage, and if you're not, stick with apple juice. Put your feet up and relax. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. And now let's cue up the intro music. Yo, hopefully you guys are doing good, and hopefully I corrected my audio this time and it's not clipping like crazy. So let me know how you guys are, how it's coming across over there. We're doing cool over here. It's starting to warm up a little bit. We kind of have gotten rid of the cooler weather. It's still cool in the evenings, but yeah, it's getting warmer during the day. So do me a favor, guys, put your questions in caps lock, and we'll definitely try to get to them. I've got a couple things on my list of stuff to talk about as usual, and I definitely want to try to get to the stuff in the chat and see what you guys got to say, what kind of stuff you have going on. So hopefully you guys got your apple juice ready. Let's see if we can work through this stuff. This week has definitely been I guess a more stressful week for me. So I had a overtime service call. Well, I had a few service calls come in last week, 3 or 4, I think. Nothing crazy. You know, we're still kind of slow-ish, but I had a walk-in cooler go down on Friday, and I was able to fix that. And then I had an emergency service call on a walk-in freezer on Saturday. This one sucked. So it's been slow lately. You know, I'm the only person working. All my guys are laid off. And my wife and I were like trying to get our kids to go do something. And my kids, of all things, were like, no, we don't want to go out. You know, I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old daughter. But they were like, no, we want to stay home. And me and my wife were like, we want to go somewhere. Hey, Joe, thanks for becoming a channel supporter, bud. I really, really appreciate that. Okay. So, yeah, my wife and I wanted to go somewhere. And we kind of like decided we were going to go to our local mountains because they had opened up some of the trails up there. So we were kind of getting the car ready and stuff. And then I got an emergency service call on a walk-in freezer. That's how it works, right? I kind of forgot about being on call. And even my wife said that. She's like, I totally forgot that, you know, you could get service calls and stuff. And it's just funny how that worked. So, and it turned into a disaster. So I think I got the call at 1 in the afternoon. By the time I got there and worked through the diagnostic process, I figured out that we had and it was a long story. I'll make a video about it eventually, but by 3 or 4, I figured out that we had a bad compressor. And Then I had to try to open up a supply house and locate all the people. The compressor was only available 40 miles away. It just basically, my call started at 1 p.m. and I left at 5 a.m. the next day. No, I got home by 5 a.m. the next day. So it was a long night. Another one of those walk-in freezer late night compressor jobs that turned into a just multitude of things. And actually, I have to go back to that call tomorrow. So still got to go do some other tidy up stuff because it was a grounded compressor. The oil on startup already looked like crap and smelled like crap. So I'm probably going to go back and do an oil change and just change the dryer again. It's just one of those calls that just really, really eats at you and just kind of eats you alive. But that stuff happens in this trade. And I guess we should be thankful, especially in times like this. I should be super thankful that I had work and that I had the opportunity to do that call. And truly I am thankful. But on this other side, I'm a normal human being. And man, that call just sucked ass. It really did. It just really sucked. And that's part of refrigeration, guys. I know you supermarket guys. I don't know if too many supermarket guys watch my videos, but the supermarket guys, they know that kind of stuff all too well. Us restaurant guys, I would say, when things are going good, I might get one late night emergency service call every 3 months, like super late night. But that's it. And then they, the last time I had a call like this that turned into an all-night compressor change-out was probably 3 or 4 years ago. So it doesn't happen very much, but when it does, it hits hard. And this one just ate me alive. And then, of all things, this is a difficult restaurant. I don't have any support. Getting the, I was able to do it all, but just getting everything up on the roof after not working for a while, I'm still sore, and it's, Monday. So yeah, that call beat me up. And then, Sunday morning, I got to bed at 5 and then 5:30, something like that. And then, I woke up at 10 a.m. and it's like, okay, I can't sleep anymore, because my family, they were doing the best they could. But I could hear them. I could hear cabinets. I could hear, see sunlight coming in through the drapes. Like, it's just life. And that's the kind of stuff that hits us as refrigeration techs. And we have to remember that, I was kind of reflecting on that today, and it's just like, man, that one just ate me alive, but it happens. And, like I said, I guess I'm just thankful that I have the work and the opportunity. Right. So, really, really appreciate everybody. Let me see. Do me a favor, guys. If I'm missing something, do me a favor and send me an email, hvacrvideos@gmail.com. I see that Joe, HVACR North, told someone to email me some questions. Feel free. Okay, I'll try to answer questions if I don't get to them. Before I forget, it was brought to my attention that Sporland's going to be having a webinar, and I have the Streamlabs moderator is going to post a link too. But they have a webinar coming up on the 14th of May on electronic expansion valves. And if I haven't convinced you yet, check out these Sporland webinars. They are awesome. Okay, the two guys that do it, forgive me, I do not remember their names, but they have a great dialogue going between the two of them, and there's just something that works in the way that they talk to each other and stuff, and it really makes it interesting. So even I've listened to some of their webinars on some of the supermarket valves and different things, and they still learn knowledge even from stuff that it's like, I'll never work on that particular supermarket valve, but I gain knowledge just from listening to these webinars. So I'm going to post a link real quick, and my moderator bot is going to post it too. So, but check out that webinar, register now. It's on the 14th of May. It'll be coming up, and it's on electronic expansion valves. So definitely check it out. Hey, Scott, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that super chat, man. That's awesome, dude. You guys, the super chats are awesome. I really do appreciate them. They are not expected. I realize that everybody is going through crazy times right now, okay? Much appreciated. I said this on the last stream. I'll say it again. If you guys want to support this channel, you don't have to give me your money, okay? I appreciate it, but you don't have to. You could do some simple things like sharing my YouTube videos. Just share them. Just help to grow the channel. Leave comments, okay? The biggest thing, I know this is difficult, but watch through the commercials, okay? Let YouTube pay me. Just watch through the commercials, that would definitely help the channel. Down in the show notes of each video is an affiliate link. Click those affiliate links. If you're going to buy tools from True Tech Tools, click on my affiliate link. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and I get a small commission from it, okay? You can also use my offer code Big Picture, one word, and that'll get you 8% off of your order, okay? But those are ways that you guys can support it. Of course, I'm always willing to accept any financial contributions that you guys want to make through Patreon or YouTube memberships or things like that, super chats, but you don't have to do that, okay? I don't make these videos for that reason. I really do like to hear myself talk. No, I like to share the little bit of knowledge that I have, and I'm truthful about that, okay? Guys, I am a human person. I make mistakes all the time. So I posted like a little Facebook comment clip or something like that showing some what I thought to be nitrogen coming out of the oil of a compressor. And while I still do agree that nitrogen might be part of the cause, I've been talking to a couple people, couple friends, my buddy Ulysses Palacios, I believe that's how you say your last name, Ulysses. Hopefully I didn't butcher it. Sent me a video, and we've been kind of having a dialogue back and forth, and I may be a little incorrect about the nitrogen coming out of the oil. So with that being said, I am going to purchase a vacuum chamber. Because my buddy Ulysses sent me a video that he made with a vacuum chamber, and I'm going to be purchasing a vacuum chamber so I can do some experiments and test vacuuming down oil and some things like that. So I'm going to be doing that, and hopefully we'll have some video material coming from that soon. But I am not a perfect technician. Everything I say is not the truth. So make sure you guys understand that I'm just a normal person like you guys that has a platform. Okay. Sometimes I may spout some crap that doesn't even make sense. All right. I try to be as truthful as much as possible, but sometimes I'm incorrect, and there's a very good possibility that I may be incorrect about this nitrogen in the oil thing. I'm going to do some research. We're going to figure it out, okay? So just keep that in mind. Just because you heard it from some idiot on YouTube, okay? Right. Let's see. Joe, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that super chat. Again, much appreciated, but you don't have to, okay? I saw a comment up here. Have any advice for guys? Okay, so 21 Misfit, you said, do I have any advice for guys in school to be a service tech like yourself? Great question. Okay, so new guys that are wanting to come into the trade. You're in trade school, great. Even if you're not in trade school, all right? This is a trade that has great potential for you guys. There is a lot of potential to earn great money in this trade, but there's a caveat, but you have to bust your ass. It's not an easy trade, okay? Right when I started this stream, I said I had an emergency service call that started at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and I got home at 5 a.m. the next morning. That shit sucks. I'm sorry, but it does, okay? It sucks. Life happens, okay? But it's a very good trade, all right? And you can earn good money. You can earn your money, and it's awesome. What advice do I have for the new guys coming into the trade? Okay, first off, keep your mouth shut. And what I mean by that is know when to speak your mind, all right? There's a great question, and I'm going to cover this. I'm going to kind of loop a bunch of stuff into this because I had a question from someone who's an apprentice, and he had some questions about the company that he's working for. He's working for a big mechanical company, okay? And he notices that they're not doing things right. He notices that they're not pulling vacuums right, that they're not brazing with nitrogen, that they're laying the solder on the braze joints too soon, they're melting the solder on the braze joints, stuff like that, okay? First off, nobody is perfect, all right? I screw stuff up every day. Just because you see me preaching about proper vacuum practices in my videos, guys, I'm not perfect, all right? There's a time and place for perfection, and in refrigeration, I hate to say this, but a lot of times there's no time for perfection in refrigeration because stuff is spoiling. They need it fixed now. If that means that there's going to be some non-condensables in the system, then so be it. Okay? We do our best to try to follow proper refrigeration practices, to braze with nitrogen, to pull a perfect vacuum and all that stuff. But guess what, guys? It's not always going to happen. Okay? So, to the gentleman that emailed me asking about the issues that he sees at the company he's working at, the best advice I can give to you is keep your mouth shut, bite your tongue, learn as much as you can, and then about 2 years from now, make an educated decision on whether or not you think it's really worth it to leave that company and move on. Or you can, 2 years from now, once you've graduated from being an apprentice, I'm assuming by then, you can try to adopt more proper refrigeration practices yourself, okay? But understand that sometimes the customer doesn't want to pay for everything to be done correctly by the book. Sometimes the customer's on your butt. Now, I show in my videos that I try to follow as many of the proper practices as possible, okay? But sometimes I have to convince my customers that, hey, why, they bitch. Like, why did this take so long? Well, because I got to do things right. Well, the next guy wants to do it for less. And, so sometimes they're not going to understand that. So you just got to do the best that you can sometimes. Okay. You can't always be perfect. So I don't mean to sound rude and tell the apprentice that your opinion doesn't matter. It does. But I'm just saying there's a time and place to ask questions and to bring up things. Now, I don't want you to keep your mouth shut and never say anything, but talk to the person you're working with. When the time is right on your way home, when you're riding in the vehicle with them, ask them, say, hey, bud, when I was in school, I'm kind of confused because, the book says that we want to pull a vacuum to, 200 microns, whatever it is, right? And we want to watch a decay test and all this different stuff and then say, you know what, but I realize that we're under such a rush sometimes that we can't do that. So why is that? Don't make it sound like you're coming down on him. Just ask him genuine questions and let him inform you. He may just say, you know what, dude, we don't got time for that crap. Okay, then so be it. Then you can choose to make that time when you're a service technician, but be prepared for the repercussions of that because sometimes people don't want to pay for that stuff. Okay. So I don't want to seem like some perfect technician that knows everything and does everything right. Because I'm not. Okay. LM Silva, you said nitrogen will get in the oil, but it's the first thing to come out. And I do believe that that's true, but we'll see. I'm going to do some experimentation. Okay. So hopefully I answered the guy's question, the apprentice. Again, I don't mean to come off rude or sound rude, but just, as a new guy coming in, just because you were in school, and the book said to do it this way. First off, okay, so let me give you this example. So I kind of have some problems with some institutions right now as far as school goes, okay? So I know that there's some people that sit up on a high horse and they think their stuff doesn't stink and they're a teacher and different things like that, okay? I would argue that most teachers don't even know how to pull a proper vacuum. Now, I'm not saying that I pull a proper vacuum all the time. In fact, in one of my videos, I just talked about pulling a vacuum through a manifold. And we all know that pulling a vacuum through a manifold is taboo. It's not correct, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. Okay. So with that being said, I have a hard time with a teacher that sits in a classroom and preaches about how you got to do this and how you got to do that and how, you got to follow all this fancy rules and all this different stuff, but then they don't even know how to do things properly themselves. And when I say, it's, I think we need to have some more transparency here. I think that teachers need to be a little bit less worried about being politically correct and start talking more and showing more of real world examples. I think they need to show more real world repairs and say, look, this is what I did wrong in this repair. Film your repairs similar to what I do. Film your repairs and critique them to your students and say, this is what I did wrong and this is why. That's the kind of stuff I think we need to see in school more. Unfortunately, the teachers want to just do everything by the book, and that's a problem. Your boy Daniel, what if your boss won't buy a vacuum scale recovery machine? Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying you need to stay at a company forever, but I think you know where we're going with that, your boy Daniel, okay? There's a time and place to leave, and if they're not buying recovery machines, I mean, they don't even provide them, but, I'm not arguing for people that don't provide them. Some companies expect technicians to buy them, and that's part of your pay scale, okay? But if your company doesn't advocate pulling vacuums, then yes, it is time to move on, okay? That's a far cry from someone just taking a shortcut. I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. All right. So in the latest Hvacr video, I'm using the Detect Select. How does it stack up against other leak detectors I've used? So the Detect Select has been the leak detector that I have used for probably the last 10 years, okay? Before that, I used the CPS Leak Seeker, I believe. And then even before that, I think I had one of the first Infocon leak detectors, okay? I have been very satisfied with the Detect Select. In fact, I don't like to talk crap about people's products, but I have recently heard from a buddy of mine some information about the Detect Stratus that has made me think twice about buying the Detect Stratus and just sticking with my Detect Select. So I'm a creature of habit, so I'm going to stick with my Detect Select. I do enjoy it. I'm intrigued by the Detect Stratus, but I'm going to stick with the Detect Select for now. It's been something that has done me well. Now, with any leak detector, you get comfortable and you get used to the way that it works. So if someone handed me a H10 Pro, right? H10 is supposed to be like arguably the best leak detector out there, right? Or one of these Hvacr freaking $10 million leak detectors. Each one of those is going to have a certain method that you need to get used to using it in. I am used to my Detect Select, okay? So I can find 410A, R22, 404, all different refrigerant leaks with my Detect Select, and it does me a really good job, and I think it's very trustworthy, okay? So I think it really just depends on what you're comfortable with, okay? And I'm not talking crap about anybody's products. It's just really what you're comfortable with. So hopefully I answered your question there for you. Let me see. Should you get your G3 and try to find work, or get a G2 license and start work from there? Slavosky John or Han. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. I do not know how to pronounce that. I don't know what a G2 and a G3 is. Here in the States, or at least in California, I'm assuming that's some sort of a license. That doesn't apply to me. So you can answer me in the chat. If not, send me an email and I can probably correspond with you more. Now, that's a great segue, though, because I did have some questions about this. So in California, our licensing requirements are pretty much non-existent to be a service technician, okay? The only licensing requirement that you need in California is to have a federally mandated EPA license, okay? The EPA Section 608 license is what you need to work on refrigeration and air conditioning, basically, okay? It basically just proves that you understand that it is illegal to vent refrigerant into the atmosphere. Other than that, to be a service technician in California, you do not need any other licenses required by the state. Now, if you want to be a contractor, you have to have a contractor's license, which requires that you've been a contractor for a service technician for so many years and you're experienced and all that fancy stuff. There is certainly certifications that will help you in your career, but they are not required by anybody here in California. There are certain states in the United States that require certain licenses, but California is not one of them. I really wish that California would require licenses, okay? Unfortunately, when places require licenses, oftentimes they will dumb down the requirements because they realize that if someone was required to pass a certain test to be able to be an HVAC service technician, some people are good at tests, some people aren't. Some people are better mechanics, but they're just not good at tests, and vice versa. And so they tend to dumb down the questions to compensate for those mechanics that aren't good at test taking and different things like that. So testing in general is not a valid way, in my opinion, to vet a technician. So, all right, let me see what I'm missing in here. I saw my buddy Ralph in here. I'm always plugging my buddy Ralph because he's always willing to help people out. Ralph from Honeywell. If you guys have any refrigerant related questions, whether it comes to alternative refrigerants or anything like that, do me a favor and hit up my buddy Ralph, okay? 609, correct. Ralph is saying that the 609 certification is a automotive. Yes, that is correct. The 608 is refrigeration and air conditioning, and the 609 is the automotive one. I don't know if I made that mistake or if he was just stating the fact from someone else's comment, but... All right, let me see if I'm missing any questions in here, okay? Oh, it's Canadian. Okay, got you. Gas. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Joe's got that covered. All right. Does achieving target superheat mean that the equipment will cool properly? No. Great question. Okay, so and that's going to segue me into another question that someone had asked me too. Okay, so first off, where do we find out this information? How do we know that this particular air conditioner needs a target superheat of blank or a required subcooling of blank? Okay, how do we know that? How do we know when we're working on a walk-in freezer that we need 10-degree evaporator superheat, or a walk-in freezer would more than likely be 6 to 8 degrees evaporator superheat? How do we know that? How do we know that the subcooling should be what? Well, if you're working on a walk-in freezer, for the most part, you're going to blow subcooling out the window, okay? As far as a charging metric, okay? But anyways, there's a lot of rules of thumb in our industry. I would highly suggest that you simply read the manuals, okay? The manufacturers produce all sorts of information, and all you guys have to do is pick up your phones and ask the Google, okay? Just pick up your phone and ask the Google some questions. Okay, there is some great literature out there, some great books, okay? I highly, highly suggest, and hey, guess what? I'm going to give Sporlin a shameless plug, okay? I highly suggest that you go to Sporlin's website. Sporlin .com. Okay, and there's lots of great training resources on there. Please, please, please check out Spoilin's website. They got lots of great stuff. Plus, they're a channel sponsor, so of course, you guys supporting them is going to help me. Okay, but one of my buddies, Mr. Dick Wers, I had the opportunity to meet him recently, has a great refrigeration book that has lots of great valuable information. The reason why I like Dick Wers' book is because it's full of general information that gives you in the ballpark. It has rules of thumb. See, most most technical books and different things, they're those teachers that want to just give you the by the book numbers, like you need to have this perfect superheat all the time, or you need to have this, or you need to have that. The cool thing about Dick Wers' book is he has the TROT section. It's technician rule of thumb, okay? And it just gets you the ballpark. And of course, he always recommends that you lean on the manufacturers, right, to find their information that they require. But if you don't have the manufacturer's required superheat for that particular walk-in freezer, guess what? You can use a rule of thumb. Now, Dick Wers didn't invent those rules of thumb. He just consolidated them into a book. Okay, the book is called Commercial Refrigeration for Air Conditioning Technicians. It's in the show notes of this video. Just click on the show notes. This is it right here. I got no affiliation with him other than the fact that he's an awesome dude and I had the opportunity to meet him. But that is a great book. That book gives you great valuable information, okay? But all you got to do is do some research, right? I learned a lot of my knowledge, or at least basically when I hit the peak of my career, what did I say, like 5 years into my career, and I realized that my stuff did stink and that I didn't know everything. I found a message board called the HVAC-talk.com. Okay, it's not as popular now, but it was way popular back then, and it was a 2000-ish, 2002. And that's when I realized that my stuff didn't stink and that I didn't know everything. I realized that there was other technicians out there, and there's a plethora of knowledge on the internet, guys. So just do some research. You'll find it out. Okay. Hopefully. And then so to answer your question, how do I know that, or does target superheat mean? No, target superheat assumes that your system is working properly based off of the superheat, but your superheat, your measured superheat, okay, can be manipulated by the airflow of your blower motor. If the airflow is being restricted, okay, because the ductwork is restricted, then you're gonna typically have lower than normal superheat, okay? So let's just say that you're low on charge, but you have very low airflow. It's a very good possibility that you might show that you have a good superheat measurement, but you're still low on charge and you're not putting the proper capacity, or the delivered BTUs is not accurate, right? So there's all sorts of things. So just because your superheat is right or your subcooling is right does not mean everything's right. We do something called the big picture diagnostics here, okay? We look at the big picture. You evaluate everything. You got to use the vital signs and you got to use your senses, okay? You got to look, listen, and feel. Okay, airflow is a very difficult thing to measure when it comes to package units and even split systems. It's very difficult. Yes, there's all sorts of things. Yes, people say that you can use a manometer and you can get static pressure and you can use a fan table, but even that can be manipulated, okay? So just because the fan table says that at 0.50 static you have perfect airflow does not mean you have perfect airflow. And that goes to package units, split systems, or anything. You need to look at everything. That's where, and I will advocate for digital gauges and performance software all day long. MeasureQuick. Again, I have no affiliation with MeasureQuick, but I really do like it. It's not so much that I use MeasureQuick for the diagnostics, but I use it because it puts all the information at my fingertips. Okay? MeasureQuick gives you airflow, superheat, subcooling, pressures, evaporator temperature, delivered BTU capacity, all in one place. So you can look at it and say, my BTU capacity is low, my airflow is low, my superheat is normal, my subcooling is low. Something's wrong here, okay? Now, you can certainly do all your work without that software, without all that information, but it's super nice to have it all in one place and then be able to make an educated decision on what's going on with the system, okay? So if you have the proper target superheat, is your system working properly? No, not necessarily. Okay. So you got to look at everything. All right. Measuring airflow is very difficult. How are you going to measure it? Are you going to use a flow hood? Okay. Can your flow hood accept more than 2,000 CFMs? Well, then you better not be working on a bigger than a 5-ton system. You know, how do you know that? How do you measure 2,000 CFMs of airflow when you have multiple diffusers? Okay, that's a difficult thing because when you put that flow hood up to one diffuser, theoretically you slow down that diffuser because you create a restriction and the other ones blow faster. So each time you move to the other diffuser, the air is being diverted to the other diffuser. So, okay, so a flow hood is a good resource, but there's other methods. What happens if you use a true flow grid? Okay, a true flow grid can be difficult too because if it's not set up properly, you might not get proper data from it, right? What happens if you use static pressure tips and you're measuring airflow? I already covered that one. There's so many different ways to measure airflow, and there's so many ways that can be flawed. So understanding, and again, I'm not an expert, right? I just know that, hey, this can be flawed and this is why, and this can be flawed and this is why. So understanding that you're never going to achieve perfection is the first point of starting, right? You start there and then you work your way up from that. Just understanding that you will never find a perfect system. And if you did find a perfect system, something's wrong. Okay? Because it's a unicorn. I would love for someone to send me the pictures showing a perfect system. I'd be very intrigued to see that. Okay? Hopefully I'm not just like diffusing everybody's vibe, but this is the real Chris, okay? What gauge set would I recommend for a newbie? I mean, it really depends on what you're comfortable with. I'm a field piece fan. You can call me a field piece fanboy. I got nothing bad to say about Testo products. I've just never used them. Okay. I like field piece products, but I will argue that with digital comes some other issues. If you don't know how to interpret a digital gauge and how to know when something's going wrong, then a digital gauge can lead you askew, right? But so can a compound manifold, okay? So you have to know the basics and how to properly set them up to know when they're giving you correct information. So short answer, check out the field piece S-man manifolds for your first manifold, maybe a field piece job link kit for your first manifold set, right? That's what I would suggest, but there's nothing wrong with the Testo products. There's nothing wrong with the Testo probes. There's nothing wrong with the iManifold products or with the standard compound. You can do the same stuff with all of that equipment, okay? So really, it's what your budget can afford. That's where I would go with that one. Hopefully, you guys, thank you very much for these super chats. You guys are all flipping awesome, man. Thanks so much. And I am a buzzkill there, Scott. Sorry, I am a buzzkill. This is the real Chris, okay? Thanks, Joe. Really appreciate it, guys. All right, let's see what else. What are my thoughts on using copper sulfate on drain lines? Mr. Psycho, I never used copper sulfate on drain lines. Don't even know what copper sulfate is. So I'm going to be honest. Sorry. If I'm some idiot for not knowing what that is, I apologize. I'm assuming it's an additive to try to prevent something, but I genuinely don't know. So please educate me. I'm not offended at all. You can do it in the chat or send me an email. I'm intrigued. What is copper sulfate? I know I can do the Google thing, but send me an email. Let me know. Let me see what else we got going on. Edgar, you have a question. What will be the superheat target for a pan chiller with glycol in 404A with a TXV? Your boss loves to run it at 25 PSI with a 250 PSI high. Okay, so first off, I do not know because every manufacturer of each particular piece of equipment, I'm assuming you're working on a refrigeration piece of equipment, you're talking about a pan chiller for pans, okay? So what I'm going to tell you is to lean on the manufacturer. I'm pretty confident to tell you that they're going to say they want about 6 to 8 degrees evaporator superheat on a cold rail pan chiller, assuming it's a static pan chiller without a fan motor, probably about 6 to 8 degrees evaporator superheat. As far as the pressures run, that's a hard thing, okay? You're going to want to ask the manufacturer how they designed it, and it all depends on how big the condensing unit is. That's going to affect your TD. There's lots of variables in that question, okay? Assuming that the pressures need to be this at this particular pressure, that's a little bit difficult. I don't want to say that your boss is wrong, okay, but there's a lot of missing information there, and I kind of need some context on what he's telling you. So please send me an email to hvacrvideos@gmail.com, and we can talk a little bit more. But to give a blanket statement that your pressures need to be this and this, That's not quite accurate because your suction pressure is going to change depending on your box temperature or your product temperature. Your condensing temperature is going to change basically depending on your outdoor ambient temperature or wherever your condenser is located, okay? So each one of those is going to change, and it's never going to be this exact number at this exact or at different temperatures. So hopefully that answers that one for you. How long should belts last? Angel Torres. That's a great question, bud. It really depends on the environment they're in. If you are in the Palm Desert area of California where it gets to about 120 to 125 degree, 120 degree ambient, but on the roof the equipment is much hotter, your belts are going to last a lot less. They aren't going to last as long as if you're in a coastal climate in California where the average high temperature is 90 degrees in the summertime, okay? So the ambient temperature is going to define belt life, basically. Also, pulley alignment and different things like that is going to change things too. But an easy answer is you should at least get 6 months of life out of a belt. That's the easy answer, okay? Sometimes you can get longer if you take care of them. So really depends on what you're working on. Let's see what else. So we got movies and songs. Kind of curious if anybody gets them. I've been a little difficult on the songs. The movie should be a super easy one, though. So let me know if you guys get that. What is a common cause for evaporator fan motor to go bad? John Deere. Again, that's a subjective question. Really depends on what you're working on. So evaporator fan motors can fail because of electrical issues, capacitors, poor power coming to them. There's so many different issues that can cause an evaporator fan motor failure. If it's a refrigeration system, more than likely it's going to be moisture issues, icing up, people spraying water on it. If it's an air conditioning issue, I would argue that it's probably a power issue causing low voltage, high voltage, capacitor failures, different things like that. So it really depends, and that's a very subjective question. Thoughts of rolling belts on due to HVAC? Great question. Do you want to know how I put a belt on every single system? I roll it on the belt, on the pulley. I am not a perfect technician. Okay, rolling a belt on is absolutely incorrect, but it's a shortcut that I take all the time. So what that means is the pulleys are lined up perfect, and you put it on the small pulley, and then you roll it on the big one, and theoretically it stretches the belt out. I roll them all the time. I have my entire career. I know it's not correct. I know it's not the proper practices, but it's life and it's what I do. So I do it every day. I'm a horrible technician for it, I'm sure. There you go. Tech Dan. That is NoFX. It is What's the Matter with Parents These Days. And that is an awesome song. If you guys haven't heard it, check out NoFX. Be prepared. They're a punk band, okay? But NoFX, What's the Matter with Parents These Days is an awesome song. Let me see. And the movie is Smokey and the Bandit. That's right. Yeah. Easy movie. See, easy movie today. But the NoFX, I had a NoFX song last week too, and I don't think anybody got it. So my music goes all over the place. I was in a NoFX mood, and then I was listening to NF this afternoon. I listen to everything. I listen to country music, all that stuff. So, yeah, please put your questions in caps lock, guys. What happens when you put a higher RPM motor on a condenser? Oh, great question. So if you put a higher RPM motor on a condenser, so let's just say you have a carrier package unit that has a 840 RPM. I think 840 is the normal. Is it 840 or am I tripping right now? There's two motors. There's a 800 RPM, a 840 RPM, and the 1075 RPM on most condensers. And if you put a 1075 on a package unit that requires an 840, whatever it is, RPM motor, then what's going to happen is that motor is going to move air potentially through that condenser too fast. Now, the other thing that's going to happen is the blade oftentimes is pitched in a way that it moves so much air at that particular RPM. So if you put a faster RPM motor with an existing blade, then you're theoretically going to overload that motor. Okay. So if you put a higher RPM motor on a system, then you potentially are going to burn up the motor faster. But you can also affect some things that you're going to move the air so fast. If it doesn't overload the motor, it's going to move the air too fast through the condenser and not allow the air to properly absorb the heat from the condenser. Okay, so you got to stick with the correct RPM motors. Very important thing to do when you're working. And that's a common mistake too, where you'll go up and you'll find that someone put the wrong motor just because they saw half horsepower. They didn't pay attention that the RPM was this. Okay. The most important things you need to look at when you're changing a condenser fan motor on anything is the RPM, the current draw of the existing motor, the frame size of the existing motor. Okay. The frame size is going to dictate the width of the motor, the shaft size, and the voltage. Okay. Very important things. So voltage, frame size, RPM, and current draw of the existing motor. Very important things to look at. And also another thing, the horsepower is something you want to pay attention to, but the horsepower can skew you and mess you up a little bit. For instance, Carrier puts that their particular package unit requires a 1/3 horsepower motor that runs at, it's just say a motor, okay? So it's a 1/3 horsepower motor at 1075 RPM, 208 volts, okay? So you go down to your van and you have an aftermarket motor that is a 1/3 horsepower, it is a 1075 and it is 208 volts. And you figure, you know what, this motor's probably fine. But what you didn't do was you didn't look at the current draw of the existing motor. The current draw of the existing motor said 2.4 amps. Well, go down to the aftermarket motor that you have in your van and you notice that the 1/3 horsepower motor at 1075 and 208 volts draws 1.3 amps. Okay. Carrier does some weird crap. I don't know why. It's not just Carrier. All manufacturers do this. Trane, Lennox, they all do this, where they test their motors under different conditions. So you have to pay attention to the current draw of the existing motor. So oftentimes, if you look at the current draw of that particular 1/3 horsepower motor, that's the OEM motor, and you notice that it says 2.4, I know in my head that an aftermarket motor replacement would be a 1/2 horsepower motor for that. Okay, so the RPM's the same, the voltage is the same, the current draw is now the same, but the horsepower went up. Okay, so manufacturers do that kind of stuff. So you can't just put something on there not paying attention to the current draw. Always pay attention to the rated current draw on the existing motor that you're replacing when you're putting in an aftermarket. That's also an argument to be made about using OEM components. I try as much as possible to use OEM components when it comes to air conditioning equipment or refrigeration equipment because there's less guesswork and less worry. As a business owner, if I tell my guys to use OEM only, then I don't have to worry about them putting in the wrong motor, not paying attention to all that information. It's just easier, okay? Yeah, OEM costs a couple bucks more, but it's one less thing I have to worry about is my technicians making decisions and making the wrong decision. Put in the OEM motor, check the voltage before you put it in, put the new OEM motor in there, the voltage is good, the current draw is good, you test it out and it's good, then I feel safe. So my offer code on TrueTech Tools is big picture, one word. Now I will say that at this point in time, it benefits me most if you guys use my affiliate links. So if you guys are going to purchase something from TrueTech Tools, do me a favor. If there's not an affiliate link in my video already for that particular tool, send me an email and I'll generate an affiliate link for you guys. So you can use my offer code big picture, one word, and it will get you 8% off your order. But if you want to help me out, let me send you an affiliate link because that's how I will, I get a small commission from the affiliate links. So best tips for cleaning ice machines. Peter, okay, the best tip I can give you for cleaning ice machines is understand the sequence of operation. That's one of the most important things about cleaning an ice machine. If you understand the sequence of operation, then the cleaning will come much easier and you'll know what's going on in there. If you're just a blanket tech sent in to clean an ice machine and you don't understand how it works, you're going to run into some problems, okay? So, for instance, if you get done cleaning a Manitowoc ice machine and you put it together and you walk away, well, was there something going on with the thickness sensor? Was it set correctly when you put it back on there? You know, understanding the sequence of operation, okay? Also understanding that following the instruction manual on the ice machine that simply says pour cleaner in there, put it in clean cycle and walk away, that is not a clean ice machine. You have to tear that machine down, okay? If you look at any ice machine manual out there for any manufacturer and they tell you that a cleaning takes this much time, guarantee you add 3 times the amount of time of whatever they said on there is going to be how long it takes you to properly clean that ice machine. A proper cleaning on an ice machine involves pouring cleaner in the ice machine, doing their normal cleaning process by pushing the clean button, letting it finish the cycle, then tearing down the entire machine, brushing the components, pushing brushes through all the hoses, scrubbing them down, soaking the components in ice machine cleaner, then putting it back together, then rinsing the machine with clean water, then pouring sanitizer in that machine, and then doing the whole cleaning process again, short of tearing it apart again. Then, okay, so 3 to 4 times, as long as it says in the manual, that's how long it's going to take you to properly clean an ice machine. You see these manufacturers of ice machines, they publish this data that says our ice machine can be cleaned in 25 minutes. Well, that's BS. When they say that, that's just to sell their ice machine. That's a selling point they're trying to use. That is not going to be a thorough ice machine. I don't care what manufacturer is out there. None of them have published true information about how long it takes to properly clean their ice machines, okay? It takes a long time to do a thorough job on an ice machine. What are the common causes for a bent fan blade on a walk-in evaporator? A bent fan blade on a walk-in evaporator is usually caused by a dummy service technician going in there to defrost that evaporator and bending the blade out of the way to stick a hose in there, okay? Bent fan blades typically don't happen on their own. It might be an employee of the restaurant getting in there trying to defrost it with a hose, but if you have a bent fan blade, it typically doesn't happen on its own unless that fan blade is really old and it's been hitting ice or something like that, okay? But ice isn't typically just going to bend a fan blade, it's going to gouge it. So if you have a bent fan blade, it's usually user error. On the flip side, I'm not saying that a technician bending a fan blade is a bad thing. If you have to go out there and defrost a walk-in cooler 10 times in a month, it's inevitable that the fan blade is going to get bent, okay? So the more you defrost it, the more issues you're going to have with blades, the more you have to replace them. I think the argument is to be made is that when you change a fan motor, you should probably think about changing the blade. Pretty good thought to be. Have I talked to my buddy Rudy? He is... Yeah, Miguel Martinez. My buddy Rudy does work. Yeah, he is working for the union now. Yes, I do know Rudy Shackelford. He's a good friend of mine. Yes, I have talked to him. Talked to him a couple weeks ago. So yeah, he's a really cool dude. What would happen if I installed a Linux Prodigy board on a carrier package unit? Helpful and cool videos. You'd be a mad scientist. There's installing a proprietary circuit board on another manufacturer's piece of equipment is going to take a lot of engineering thoughts in your head. I'm not saying it couldn't work, but you're going to have to do so much stuff to make that thing work properly. So let me see what else we got in here. Do I prefer cogged belts over standard for the extra couple bucks? Yeah, I prefer to use a cogged belt. My experience and my testing has proven that, to myself, that putting on a cogged belt or a notched belt, whatever you want to call them, makes the belts last longer. Okay, the whole theory behind a cogged belt is that it has less, it has more space to displace heat, basically. So it has little notches in the belt. It allows it to bend, therefore generating less heat on the belt, therefore making it last longer. And I agree that spending the extra couple bucks on a cogged belt is worth it, because as a business owner, I try to put cogged belts on everything, or AX belts or BX belts or whatever you want to call them. In my opinion, they last a lot longer, but a cogged belt is not going to solve for improperly aligned pulleys or worn out pulleys. So you have to maintain your power transmission equipment, right? You got to have proper pulleys that are in good shape. Okay. Gil, thank you very much for that super chat, dude. That is flipping awesome, bud. No, awesome, man. Again, thank you very much for that super chat, Gil. That is amazing. Let's see what else. What am I missing here? Is it possible to overcharge a walk-in cooler? Yeah, definitely it's possible to overcharge a walk-in cooler. There's only so much storage capacity in the receiver of a walk-in cooler. Once you go past the maximum fill, basically, of that receiver, which is about 3/4 of the way, 80%, you're theoretically adding too much gas to the system, and it's not going to have room for that gas to move around. So yes, you can overcharge anything. All right, I'm going to get to my list of things right here. Okay. So I had 2 videos this last week. The 2 videos that I had was a Hvacr reach-in not working properly and a Train Voyager not working properly. The Train Voyager was a really important one because I did use Measure Quick, and I was looking at all the information, and I noticed, I kind of had a feeling that we might have had a dirty condenser, and Measure Quick verified that. I was just kind of curious if Measure Quick was going to have the correct diagnosis. Now, what I found was that the split row condenser was dirty. In fact, it was plugged solid. That particular condenser, and I showed that from the outside, it looked perfect. There was nothing wrong with the condenser from the outside. It looked nice and clean, okay? But it was deceiving because there was 3 rows towards the end of that condenser. And that second row was plugged solid. And I showed in the video that there's absolutely no way to properly clean that condenser from the outside, because when you clean the outside, it just pushed the crap on the inside. With that being said, split row condensers, they do not just apply to commercial equipment. I would argue that if you have a newer split system that has 410A in it and it's 4 tons or bigger, I can pretty much guarantee it's going to have a split row condenser out there. Typically, the you may see some 3-ton stuff, but for the most part, 4 tons and up on a 410A condenser. Now, my particular condenser at my house is a 4-ton and it's R22. It's a split row condenser on my residential home, okay? So even in the residential side, cleaning a condenser from the outside does not do it. Simply cleaning it from the inside does not do it. You have to stare at it for a minute and you'll see that there's 2 condensers there. Understand, you guys need to properly clean this equipment. If you guys are going in there and just blasting it with water and walking away, you're not doing your due diligence. You're not going through that equipment properly. So residential or commercial, pay attention for split row condensers. Very important thing to understand. So even cleaning it from the inside is not, if it's a split row condenser, you're just shoving crap into another spot. Very important thing, okay? Yeah, there's that link again to the Sporlan thing. So Sporlan has a webinar May 14th. There's a link again to it. Guys, check that out. It's going to be on electronic expansion valves. Very important thing to check out. That'll be a great one for you guys, okay? Let me see what I'm missing here. Anyone seen the Sporlan Smart Probes? Gil. HVAC or Heatmaster? I'm assuming you're asking someone else. I have the Sporlan Smart Probes, but I haven't seen yours, so... Is it possible? I already answered that question. Can a freezer use propane R290? Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's freezers that are using R290 equipment out there. Yeah, definitely. So, how do I clean coils if there is no water on site? Ever use no rinse cleaner? Oh, Scott, dude, Scott, that is an amazing super chat. Holy crap, Scott! Thank you very much, man. Scott's HVAC rookie. Dude, that is totally uncalled for, but thank you very much, man. That is flipping awesome, okay? How do I clean coils if there's no water access? No rinse coil cleaner is not going to do anything. Okay, so understand something. There is not a cleaner out there. If it says no rinse, it means that if you read the fine print, it means it's self-rinsing. So no rinse is meant to be used on an evaporator. If it's a foaming cleaner, correct me if I'm wrong, send me the information, but I know for a fact that with the Hvacr products and the new Calgon products, if it says no rinse, it means in the fine print, if it's got condensation coming off the evaporator, that it'll self-rinse itself, okay? There is not a no-rinse condenser coil cleaner that I have ever seen in my career, okay? So if it has something going on there, but maybe I'm wrong, send me some information, okay? But there is not a new Calgon product or a Hvacr product out there that is no rinse for a condenser, okay? It has a chemical in it, especially if it has degreasers. You have to rinse that stuff off. So there has to be water access. Now, if you don't have water access, you can bring a bucket of water. You can bring a pump sprayer. A pump sprayer is not going to get you very far. You're really going to need to bring some water up there. So you're going to need some sort of a transfer pump, a big drum of water. You're going to have to pump that water up onto the roof and clean that thing. But you're going to have to do something. So there's all sorts of transfer pumps, pump sprayers, battery operated pump sprayers, different things like that. If it's just dust and lint, maybe you can clean it with compressed air, CO2, nitrogen, something like that. Be cautious with CO2 because you'll freeze your hoses and cause problems. But yeah, but there's not a no rinse cleaner that I know of, and I'd love to see some documentation on that. What do I think of the new Deadly Hornets? I think that's a stupid media hype. That's some BS. Those Deadly Hornets that the news is talking about are Asian Hornets, and they've been around for years, okay? So that's stupid that the media is talking about them now. It's just another thing for them to talk about. Bull crap. Ever use MAP gas for brazing in a pinch? Yes, I have. In a bind, I've used MAP gas on smaller I think the most I've ever used MAP gas on was 3/8, but anything bigger than that, you're going to have a hard time. I've used it on 1/4 inch for sure. Exactly. Scott says Viper makes a no rinse, but it's for evaporators. It needs to have natural condensation for it to rinse itself off. So that's what I mean. No rinse is not meant for a condenser, period. Can I explain the ORI, ORD valves? Not over a live stream. Send me an email. But what I would highly suggest you do, and I'm going to show you right now, super easy thing to do, is click this right here. I'm going to share this right now. I'm going to transition over to a screen capture. Let me turn this off. This is a super easy way to figure out an ORI valve. Transition this over. Sporlan.com gets you to right here. Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to click on support, and you're going to click on, and I'm doing this, literature and references. You're going to click on, and now I'm going to make myself an idiot right now, and I don't know why I'm having a hard time with this right now. This was a great way for me to transition on over here right now. I'm having a, oh, here you go, right here, literature. Easy peasy. Okay, so what I want you to do is go on over here. And see, I knew there was an easy way. Click on literature. Go down here to, let's see if we can find it. Let's see, expansion valves, distributors, refrigeration valves, moisture, pressure regulating valves. There you go. And click right here, head pressure control valves, 90-31. Head pressure control valves. You've got the ORIs, you've got the ORDs, you've got the OROA valves, okay? Lots of great information on Sporlan's website, but essentially it's a head pressure control valve, and it's going to regulate your head pressure based off of your condensing pressure, basically. So hopefully that makes sense for you. That's the easiest way to understand the head pressure control valve. So hopefully I didn't kill you guys there. Let me see what else I'm missing here. How do I take payments remotely? We don't accept remote payments. So our customers can pay us via ETFs, electronic fund transfers, but that's it. So we don't do credit cards or anything like that, but I'm a commercial. I deal with chain restaurants and stuff like that. Why doesn't the mobile YouTube have chat available? It does. You just have to click down in the bottom. There's a little button that says live chat. But I don't know why. What it maybe have something to do with your phone. Have I scrapped a compressor based on the noise? Well, I mean, if the noise will draw me to a compressor, but then I might say, hey, you know what? There's something going on here, and put my gauges on it and evaluate it. Because just because a compressor is noisy, it could simply mean it's got an oil issue or something like that. That's a great segue, though. Okay. With that being said, someone asked me in my last video, how's my Frankenstein refrigerator doing? It's still doing great. It keeps all my beer cold, so that's fine. So someone asked me in my last video, you know, how come I skipped some steps? How come I didn't do this? You have to understand something. When I'm diagnosing, sorry, it's a beer 30. So when I'm diagnosing things, filming is actually second nature for me, okay? So I've said this many times that when I diagnose things and when I'm working, I often talk to myself. So filming my service calls is just kind of like a bonus. Where I'm going with that is sometimes my head gets working and I start thinking things, and it may not be translated through the video that you guys see. So oftentimes I can hear a noise, and I'm, you know, thinking when I'm filming, I'm not thinking like, hey, I'm talking to someone. I'm just like working, you know, going through things. So sometimes I'll diagnose things and I don't even realize that I skipped some steps. Okay. So that's something you got to remember, is that I'm not perfect, right? Let me see what I'm missing here. Hold on, I got distracted. What did I miss? I lost my train of thought there for a second, but let me see. I've seen some other questions inside here. So what are my thoughts of engaging up on a unit on a PM, Mr. Psycho? It really depends on what your company asks you to do and what the customer expects of you, okay? So if you're doing a residential PM, right, and you do not have a benchmark data for that equipment, so you do not have information saying what the equipment was doing last time, exactly how it was operating, then I'm going to argue that you need to gauge up. Now, do I think you need to gauge up every single PM? Not necessarily if you have properly benchmarked data to reflect on from the last time. If you have benchmark data, then you could simply go in and clean the condenser, clean the evaporator, change the filter, take some temperature measurements, compare them to the last time, and theoretically walk away without putting service gauges and disrupting the refrigerant charge. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. How often do I see hot gas bypass, or is that old school? I do not see hot gas bypass very much anymore. In fact, early in my career, I remember seeing hot gas bypass a few times. I do see a sort of hot gas bypass on ice machines as a method of defrost or melting ice off the evaporators. We'll call those harvest valves, or not hot gas bypass though. But hot gas bypass, for the most part, I don't see that very often. I would think you would see that on more industrial type systems or supermarket systems. Those will still exist. Okay. Let's see what else. What are my thoughts? I already answered that one. Let me see. Remember, put your questions in caps lock. Okay. How can you learn to braze? HVAC kid. You're not going to learn brazing online. You're going to need to get your hands on a set of torches, and you're going to need a proper instructor. So if you can't find someone to apprentice under, go to your local community college. I'm sure they have a welding class, and as a certain part of that welding class, I'm sure they will be teaching brazing. So let me see what else. Let me see. Let me see what else. I'm going to look at my list right here right now. I already answered all these questions. A question someone asked me, when do you start a business? Well, okay, so that's a great question. When should you start a business? Well, first off, you need to master your trade, okay? You need to be a technician that is proficient, okay? I don't suggest winging it. I'm not saying you can't succeed in a business if you're winging it, but I don't suggest winging it, okay? Because you're going to run into some pitfalls. If you start your own business, theoretically, you don't have anybody to fall back on, okay? The next thing when it comes to a business, not only do you need to be a master of your craft and knowing everything about your trade, you also need to completely understand business. And that's the difficult thing, guys. If I didn't have, I work with my dad. My dad's my partner, right? If I didn't have my dad, I would not be in business for myself, okay? Because I am not a master of business, okay? I do really well with the trade side, and I will argue that I'm pretty good at what I do within restaurant refrigeration, okay? I have a general understanding, a pretty good understanding. But as far as the business side, I'm not an expert in that. So I would have no business starting my own business if I didn't understand how to properly do things as far as numbers go and accounting goes and understanding that. To understand that, I would highly suggest taking some college classes. You don't have to be, a college degree kind of crap, but take some trade school classes, on business. Check out my buddy over at Service Business Mastery podcast, Tersh Blissett. He's got great information on starting a business. But right now we have too many people in our industry. Hopefully we're weeding them out right now. But we have too many people that have just started a business and they're just winging it. I get the emails all the time. How much should I charge for a capacitor? I have no idea. It really depends on your overhead and the price you want, the markup you want to make, and the profits you want to make. It's not just a simple answer. This is how much you charge for a capacitor. You need to understand business before you go into business. What are my thoughts about the Vito Pro Pack tool bags? Rick Chan, I use the Vito Pro Pack as a backpack. I love it. It does get heavy. You can overload it very much, but it is a very trustworthy, heavy-duty backpack. I will say that in the past, you got a little bit more life out of them. You could get about 5 years out of them. Now I would expect you to get about 2 years out of your Vito backpack, so long as you don't overload it. The biggest weak point on the Vito backpacks is when people overstuff them with crap and they try to zip the zippers up and they bust the zippers off. Even my Vito backpack right now, the zipper, the pull tabs, they're busted, and I have zip ties on them. The zipper still engages with the zip whatever thing, and it closes the bag, but I have zip ties on both of them, so I'll have to show it in a video. Is there a such thing as a condenser pressure regulator? Molly, yes, there is. Any advice for R600? You get your first system tomorrow. Luke College. I have some videos on R290 propane units. Watch those. R600, you need to follow the exact same precautions. So go to my channel and look up R290 And I think I have 2 or 3 videos on R290. It's just another type of refrigerant, just another flavor, but you follow the same procedures, purging with nitrogen, cutting, it's probably not going to have access ports, that kind of stuff. So let's see what else. Do I ever work on cooling towers or chillers? Albert, no, I don't. I don't work on anything that big. I work on refrigeration systems no bigger than 5 horsepower, air conditioning systems no bigger than 35 tons, everything smaller underneath that. So, another thing I wanted to cover, guys, and this was a great thing. Taking care of yourself. This trade beats you down, right? I said in the beginning of the stream that I had an overtime service call over the weekend where I got home at 5 in the morning and I started at 1 in the afternoon. It was a long, super long night. This trade beats you up, right? You have to do everything in your power to take care of yourself. Very important thing. It sounds so silly. From the beginning, if I can tell an apprentice, if I can tell anybody, wear your PPE, okay? We talk about PPE right now with this whole stupid COVID thing, right? But ear protection, very important. If you're working in an industrial setting, like I do work at a stainless steel shop where they fabricate stainless steel everything, and you have to wear ear protection in a place like that. Working in an equipment room, wear ear protection. Now, working on a roof, I don't think you need to have earplugs in, but you need to make that decision, okay? Eye protection, very important. One of the more important things is knee pads, okay? A kneeling pad, something to protect your knees. I'm getting older, right? I'm 30, I think I'm going to be 37. I'm 36 now, I think. I was born in 83, so whatever that is. June 16th, 83. I think I'm going to be 37. But anyways, my knees are killing me. There's nothing worse than kneeling down on something and getting a shard of metal on your knee. Put a kneeling pad up on the roof. Carry knee pads in your bag. Protect your skin. Very important, okay? I have a very fair complexion. I'm a white guy, and I have a shaved head. So I'm worried about skin cancer. So I'm wearing hats all the time, head scarves to cover my neck, especially the back of my neck. That's where I'm the most scared, of the tops of my ears. I can't do sunscreen. People say wear sunscreen, but I can't handle the oily, greasy crap dripping off me. That drives me nuts. So protect your bodies, guys. Eye protection, ear protection, and body protection, right? Don't overload your tool bags. Take care of your body, because your body is what's going to give out on you when you're 50, okay? And I'm starting to hurt. I'm having hearing loss. Whether or not it's from work or not, I don't know, but I have hearing loss. And no joke, I'm not exaggerating at all. I've probably been to the doctor at least 10 times for getting stuff in my eyeballs. To the point that when I go into the urgent care now, I know exactly what they're going to do. And I know that the doctor is going to say, wow, your cornea is really scratched. Like, he tells me that every time. And he puts the UV dye, like he puts a dye on my eyeball and he looks at it with the UV light and you can see all the scratches in my cornea. I've done it so many times. So protect your eyes, guys. Now, I wear safety glasses, but I have a reflex issue with my left eye, or my right eye. One of my eyes, I have a reflex issue, and this is self-diagnosed, but I feel like it doesn't close fast enough. So when something's coming at me, I don't close it fast enough, and shit gets stuck in my eyes all the time, and it sucks, okay? So I'm not kidding with you or exaggerating when I say I've been to the doctor more than 10 times. I have, for stuff in my eyeballs. It sucks. All right, let's see. Do I wear a mask to work? Right now, yes, because state of California, we have to wear a mask. So I have a gaiter. It's a neck scarf, basically, that you pull down over your neck and it comes up and just covers my nose. It offers no protection to me. It's really just a silly thing. In the beginning, I was wearing N95 masks. I had 3 of them when this whole COVID thing started, and I wore through those things really quick, so they started shredding and crap. So yeah, I just wear a neck gaiter now. I just put it over my face. It really just offers the customer protection from me coughing on them. It doesn't protect me or, keep me safe from anything. Let's see what else. The other thing about taking care of your body, guys, I know this is hard. This is really hard, okay? Stop eating hamburgers for lunch. Guys, that is the worst thing you can do. And I do it too, okay? I don't do it as much as I used to. Stop eating hamburgers and stop eating gas station candy bars. That was my weakness, okay? I gave up the candy bars for sure. It's been a solid 2 years since I've had a candy bar. But stop eating that crap, okay? Now, I try to eat healthy, but I mean, I'm not perfect. For the first time in a year, the other day, I went to Raising Cane's and got fried chicken fingers. That was the first time in over a year that I've had something like that. And to be honest with you, it was an overload. It was like overwhelming how much freaking crap was in that crap. I try to eat healthy as much as possible. I'm not one to say that I'm in perfect health. Hell no, I'm still overweight. I still weigh 190 pounds and I'm 5'10". I'm still overweight. So, but I dropped at one point. No, I'm about 185, 190, somewhere in there. But I would love to get down to 150 is my ideal. But stop eating that crap. I know it's hard, but we as technicians, we tend to eat crap. And for me, it's more of a, I'm working so hard. I don't want to have to worry about this. I'm just going to eat in and out for lunch, you know, or I'm going to eat a Del Taco hamburger. On a side note, if you guys want a great hamburger and you live in Southern California, go to Del Taco and order their bacon double Del. It's probably one of the best hamburgers you'll ever have at Del Taco of all things. But anyway, side note, don't eat those though, right? Because I'm telling you guys not to eat hamburgers for lunch, but take care of your bodies, okay? All right. What is my favorite thing to work on? My favorite thing to work on, that's a good question. I like working on refrigerators. I like remote refrigeration systems where the condenser's on the roof and refrigeration equipment's downstairs. I like that. Ice machines are probably my least favorite. I work on them a bunch. Air conditioning's probably my second favorite. So, yeah, I know. I love hamburgers too, but we need to stop, man. Let me see what else. Yeah, I am Californian overweight. That's right. Get a veggie plate for lunch. Hey, I have a video on my channel, and I need to preach what I actually do. But I had made a video a long time ago about like a hot Logic Mini. It's a heat plate basically that you buy for your van, and it's an insulated bag. If you look on in my videos, I have one, and it's sitting on top of my fridge. I need to start using that again too, because I've cooked my lunch. I put raw chicken in that thing and just plug it in my van. I have a power inverter that's powered all the time, or I had one. And I can cook chicken in it. Just let it sit in there for a couple hours and it cooks it, and just put veggies and rice and stuff in there. So we need to start doing that kind of stuff more often. Let me see. Question I had, and I already had a customer, so I want to address this. So what about as we're starting to open up the country? What kind of problems are we going to have? Okay, so I've already had a customer call me and say, hey, you know what? We're getting ready to open up and we want UV lights. Okay, so I'm not a fan of UV lights. I've been pretty vocal about that. But I told him, I said, hey, you know what? I'm really not a fan of UV lights. And I asked the customer, what are you trying to solve with the UV light? And they said, well, we want something that's going to guarantee it's going to kill the virus. And I said, well, you're not going to do that with the UV light, because there's no guarantee that anything's going to kill COVID at this point in time, unless there's something I'm missing right now. Okay. There's a guarantee that UV lights kill other viruses, but not necessarily COVID. Then furthermore, putting a UV light in a package unit, you'd have to put a UV light so big to kill anything in the airstream, right? Or are you just going to point it at the evaporator and assume that that bacteria or virus is going to make it all the way up to the evaporator? So I tried to talk my customer out of it, but they're saying, no, we want a UV light. Okay, fine. So I start looking for UV lights. You can't find them right now. Every manufacturer is pretty much sold out of UV lights, okay? So that opens another question. Are we really going to have enough filters, enough evaporator coil cleaner, and enough UV lights to solve all these customers' requests when the country opens up? I know they're staging it. Some parts of the country are already opening up, but guys, they're going to have such a part shortage. And then talk about the refrigeration stuff. How many restaurants out there have got broken equipment? I know that most of my restaurants have a shit ton of broken equipment, but they're just not fixing it right now. And they're going to want it all fixed on the day that they open. And guess what? There ain't going to be that many parts, because all this stuff is hitting the entire country, hell, the entire world at the same time. So there's going to be a massive part shortage. So yeah, I've had customers ask me, they want me to get fancy filters and all this stuff. Now, my suggestion, I'm not an expert, I'm not a genius when it comes to this air filtration bull crap and all this stuff, but I recommended to my customer, hey, let me come in, let me fix your economizers. Let me bring proper fresh air. Let's do demand ventilation. Let's put CO2 sensors in your building. So the more people you bring in, the more fresh air we bring into the building. Okay, let's fix that. California, everybody bypasses the economizers. Number two, let me put pleated air filters, okay? The customer wants to put in, oh, I want the highest MERV rating you can get. Well, what does that do? That's just going to cause airflow restrictions, okay? So just let me put in a standard pleated filter and let me come in and do proper cleanings on your evaporator coils. I said between fresh air, evaporator coil cleaning, and proper air filtration, I said, you're going to do a great job cleaning your systems up, okay? But no, they just want a UV light and the highest MERV filter they can get. So what am I going to do? Just give them what they want, I guess. But the problem is finding all that stuff. So yeah, supply chain's already overloaded, so All right. Let's see what I'm missing. Cook on the engine. That's right. Guys, throw some questions in here. Try to get to those. How do I get used to working with electricity when I'm first starting out? You need to work under a proper mentor. You need to be an apprentice, and you need to be comfortable with electricity before you just start jumping out there, okay? You can hurt yourself. So you need to be comfortable and know what's going on before you start diving into working on electrical stuff. All right. Oh, geez. Rick Marchland. Dude, Rick Marchland said, do us a favor and vote Pelosi out. If we can vote Pelosi, I don't like to get political, but I think you guys can probably figure out that I lean way to the right. I'm out of place in California, okay? So we can get the left-leaning Pelosi out of here. Let's go to town, okay? Sorry if I offended you guys, but whatever. What's my approach on finding low-voltage shorts? Your boy, Daniel. Just starting with the basics, okay? So remember, understanding the sequence of operation on a system, okay? So I'm going to walk up. Let's just talk about a package unit, right? I have a video recently on a carrier package unit. I walked up to the unit. I understand in my head the sequence of operation of the system already, okay? If you don't understand the sequence of operation, hopefully you have someone you can lean on, because understanding the sequence of operation helps you immensely. So first off, I check line voltage coming into the building or coming into the unit. I have 208 3-phase or whatever close to it, okay? Then I check control voltage. What's my voltage coming into the low voltage transformer? It's 208. What's my voltage coming out? It's 27 volts, 24 volts, whatever. Okay, cool. Then I work my way through the sequence of operation. I know that on a carrier package unit, after it comes out of the transformer, it's going to go to a circuit board, and it's basically then going to go to the economizer. Then it's going to go to the terminal board for the thermostat. If you get a call for Y1, the Y1 voltage is going to go to the economizer. Then it's going to come back to the compressor lockout board. Then it's going to go to the compressor, okay? Same thing on a Linux. Just understanding the sequence of operation on a Prodigy unit, okay? Power is going to come in. Once it comes from the low voltage terminal board, it's going to go into the logic board, and then the logic board is going to tell it whatever it needs to do. So finding a low voltage short, I'm going to start by understanding the sequence of operation, okay? Then if I'm going to try to find a short to ground, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to power down the unit. Okay. If I've got a transformer fuse tripping or blowing, something like that, circuit breaker blowing on the transformer, I'm going to disconnect. I'm going to turn off power to the unit. I'm going to disconnect the grounding wire for the transformer. Once I disconnect the common or the grounding wire, then I'm going to go and check all the low voltage terminals to ground, okay? You have to disconnect that grounding wire because your low voltage common on your transformer typically is grounded. So when you try to check components to ground, you'll get a dead short to ground. It's going to throw you off. So disconnect that ground wire, okay? Again, with power turned off to the unit. Then you're going to observe. If you find a short, then you're just going to work your way from wire to wire. You're going to take that wire, start eliminating things. Sequence of operation, process of elimination. So just start disconnecting wires, checking to ground until you find the short, okay? Sometimes on low voltage stuff, you got to energize the circuit, unfortunately. So I try to do everything I can to not energize the circuit on a low voltage short, but be prepared to have a lot of fuses on hand if you have to energize the circuit, because there's every once in a while that really weird problem that you can't find that you're just going to go through 7 fuses before you find the issue. Disconnecting the compressor contactor, turning it on, it blows again. Put it back on, disconnect the evaporator contactor, turn it on, it doesn't blow, boom, you found the problem, okay? Again, it's hard for me to tell you how to diagnose an electrical short, but those are some general ideas, okay? But again, look for direct shorts first, work through the sequence of operation, know what happens, so that way you can diagnose properly. What brand RTU do I think is best? Big Nate, thanks for the kind words to the mod. Joe, thank you very much, bud. Really appreciate it. I don't see where Big Nate said something cool, but I appreciate anything Big Nate. Oh, serious praise to our mods. Yeah, thank you very much, Nate, for acknowledging that. The moderators do a great job. So, and make sure you guys pay attention. I already plugged it in the stream, but do me a favor and check out HVACR North or Joe over on the HVAC Overtime on Friday, okay? Always a great time on the Overtime show. So, let me see what else I'm missing in here. Yeah, Ernesto, HVACR vlogger. check out his channel too. But yeah, he's got he said he spent a bunch of time on an electrical short. Sometimes they can drive you nuts. Okay. Guys, I am not perfect in my videos, right? And I was thinking about something this weekend when I was doing that really late night call over the weekend, and I wanted to cut some corners. I was tired. I was exhausted. It was probably about 3 in the morning, and I'm like, man, I just want to get this done. I'm just not going to worry about this. But I was filming the call. I can't tell you guys enough that you guys motivate me to want to do better. I am not a perfect technician, guys. I screw up and I take shortcuts all the time. But the fact that I started filming the call from the beginning and was filming the entire time I was working motivated me to not cut corners. Okay, so find something that motivates you guys. Okay, think, what would Chris do? Okay, make a stupid bracelet that said, what would Chris do? I don't know. Do something. Okay, remember, I understand, because if I didn't have the videos, guys, I'd be cutting some corners sometimes. Okay, so I am not the perfect technician. Now, with that being said, someone pointed out that I was wearing my rubber gloves, my nitro gloves, when I was brazing. I screw up all the time, guys. I do. I'm perfect. I'm not perfect. Okay. You know, I'm not the best person when it comes to safety and proper practices. Okay. The videos definitely motivate me to do things correctly. And I think we all need to stop and slow down a bit and try to take care of ourselves a little bit more and think about what we're doing so that way we don't hurt ourselves. Okay. Are there certain brands of tools that I only buy or never call? Is there certain brands of tools that I only buy or never call? No, there's not certain brands of tools. It really depends on the tool. So just because I like Field Piece products doesn't mean that I'm going to buy everything Field Piece. Okay. No, if a product doesn't work from a manufacturer, I'm not, you know, brand specific or anything like that. So no. Thoughts on duct cleaning? I live in California. We have flex duct. How the hell do you clean a flex duct system besides just blowing some air through the system? How are you telling me that someone's going to send a brush through a flex duct system that's 20 years old and not rip the plastic membrane in the flex duct? So I'm not a fan of duct cleaning when it comes to flex duct. Now, do you have a rigid duct system with proper duct work made from sheet metal? And is the insulation on the outside? Well, okay, then I guess that could probably be cleaned. But if it's a flex duct system, or if it's a sheet metal duct system and the insulation's on the inside, how are you properly going to clean that system? You're not. So don't let someone sell you on a duct cleaning on a flexible duct system. Sorry if any of you guys do that, but I mean, we got to be practical here. All right, gentlemen, Scott, have a good time in class. I am going to transition on out of this thing. Really, really appreciate you guys in here. And let me see if I can figure this out. For some reason, I'm having a really hard time. Intro picture. There we go. And I'm going to transition over. And we're going to pull up the first outro. If y'all could do one thing, if y'all could take one thing from my videos or my live streams, please stop, take a second, take a step back, and look at the big picture. Kind of silly that I do this whole thing where I come back every time. Like, the whole thought of an encore is kind of silly because everybody knows that if you're at a concert, there's going to be an encore. So why not just keep singing? Like, why not just, but I guess it weeds out the people that don't want to stay for the encore. I don't know. You know, ironically, we really haven't lost that many people. People are still in here. So whatever. I still got half a beer, so let's finish this. So you wish I was here. Hey, Wish You Were Here is a great Pink Floyd song. In fact, Pink Floyd is one of my favorite bands, dude. And I don't do any drugs at all. I really should for the amount of Pink Floyd that I listen to. But Wish You Were Here is a great Pink Floyd song. So, Ike is trying to stay off Discord. That's funny. It is the sell the last beer. That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. That is true in a concert. But I'm not selling anything. So, yeah, it is the sell the last beer. That's right. Yeah. Hey, you know what? We got, okay, there we go. Now we dropped off. So we dropped off like 75 people. So now we're at 206 viewers. So yeah, see, we lost, oh, no, 190, yeah, 195 now. So we're dropping down. We're dropping the viewers down. It's all good. Pink Floyd is one of the best bands. Wish You Were Here is probably perfection. But the entire Wall album, I can listen to that back and forth. And that the Pink Floyd The Wall album is amazing. See, I'm so eclectic when it comes to my music. I was listening to NoFX before this stream, and then I was listening to NF, which is a Christian rapper, right? Listen to NF, listen to his new album, guys. I wish I could play music on here right now, but NF's new album, what is it called? Go play music. NF's new album is trying to think of the name of it right now. It is absolutely amazing when it comes to his new album. NF. I think it's called The Search. Yeah, The Search. If you listen to NF's new album called The Search, you gotta like kind of like Eminem style rap music, but NF The Search, that is some deep stuff right there when it comes to like depression and different things like that. That album is freaking insane. Definitely. And then like I'll go from NF to NoFX, which is punk, right, from the 90s and 80s. And then I'll listen to Pink Floyd from the 70s. Yeah, dude, I was like 17, 16 when I found Pink Floyd The Wall. And then the same thing, like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, right? Or Crosby, Stills and Nash. There's a song by Crosby, Stills and Nash called Cathedral. Listen to that song. That song for some reason hits me so freaking hard, man. I am a music person. Yeah, I'm not really into the questions things right now. This is more just talking about me. This is the real me, as someone said at last stream. This is not the HVAC me anymore. This is the real Chris. So, last call. There you go. Liza and Louise. Dude, no effects. Adam said that. A-Team Adam. Liza and Louise is the funniest song. It's about two lesbian chicks, and NoFX totally describes it, how they're totally going to hit each other up and start, oh my gosh. Liza and Louise is an awesome song by NoFX. So, yeah, that is a great one. Yeah, NoFX has some great stuff too. They really hit me. There's two albums that stand out with NoFX for me that really hit me in high school is... let me think. What are the two albums by NoFX? Watch, I'm gonna push them up right now. So Long and Thanks for the Shoes. That is a great album by NoFX. That is an amazing one, dude. Murder the Government. Yeah, that's a great one. And then also, what's the other one? Watch, there's another album that I really dig by NoFX. I was totally listening to it before this. Oh, Pump Up the Volume. Pump Up the Volume by NoFX too. That was the one I was listening to before this. That is an amazing album. So yeah, I'm a big music person. And then I'll sit, like I'll listen to country too. I listen to everything. So for sure. Dark Side of the Moon. See, okay, so Money on Dark Side of the Moon has to be like one of NoFX's most popular songs, and I genuinely hate that song. I hate that song. Absolutely. There's nothing worse than those damn cash registers in the beginning of that drive me nuts. Did I say Pink Floyd? I don't know if I said Pink Floyd. I might have said NoFX. But yeah, Money by Pink Floyd on Dark Side of the Moon. I hate that one. But almost everything else on Dark Side of the Moon is freaking amazing. Us and Them, yeah, I love all Dark Side of the Moon and the Wall album for sure. And then I'll listen to the Beatles and stuff like that. What's the Beatles? Oh gosh, something Hammer by the Beatles. Maxwell's Hammer, right? Maxwell's Hammer by the Beatles. I believe it's on the White album, isn't it? Maxwell's Hammer. That's a great song too. I think that's what it is, right? Beatles, Batles. Let's look it up. Yeah, Maxwell's Silver Hammer by the Beatles. But no, it's on Abbey Road. It's not on the White album. But yeah, Maxwell's Hammer by the Beatles. That one's a freaking great song too. So, did I ever watch the Elton John bio movie? No, I actually didn't. I really wasn't into the bio movies. I watched the Freddie Mercury bio movie, and I don't know. It kind of ruined Freddie Mercury for me. I knew he was a flaming dude, right? But it just went a little extreme and kind of ruined him for me. I still like his music, but I didn't want to watch Elton John's one just because I didn't want it to ruin him. Like the Freddie Mercury movie, it just, I don't know. I don't give a care. I don't give a crap if someone's gay or anything like that, but it just went way too far talking about all that stuff with Freddie Mercury. I didn't need to see that. Like I enjoy his music. And the same thing with the Elton John one. I didn't watch that one just because I was afraid it was going to ruin him for me. Does it? I mean, did the Elton John one really go into like his flamboyant craziness and stuff, or was it just about his music? Because I really like people's music stories and stuff, but yeah. What about Little Pump and Little, I don't know who the hell they are, Ernesto. That's new rap, dude. I don't know new rap. I know Eminem and NF, Jay-Z, Snoop. I know 90s rap. That's about it. So... yeah, I don't know. Motley Crue. Yeah, the Motley Crue documentary was a great movie. Yes, it was. That was a great documentary. You know who else I really, really like from the 80s is Def Leppard. Def Leppard is freaking awesome. Yes, really dig Def Leppard. I'm such a movie buff and a music buff when it comes to that stuff, for sure. Joe, you're blue. You like your techno music, right? Oh, man. Yeah, that's too funny. I've got a wide variety of music tastes. Yes, I do, Backyard Redneck. Did I say Beach Boys? Chris Cooley? Yeah, the Beatles. Sorry. If I said the Beach Boys, I apologize. I could say things right now that I don't even remember. So, but it's Maxwell's Silver Hammer by the Beatles. If I said the Beach Boys, I'm sorry. Oh, let's see. What else we got in here? I wish I could live in the, I should have been a teenager in the late 70s, early 80s. I should have for the music, for sure. Let me see what else. I wish I could see Def Leppard in concert in their heyday. I don't want to see no washed up old dudes. You know what though? I have to say that I saw a amazing concert at the Hollywood Bowl. First off, I saw 30 Seconds to Mars at the Hollywood Bowl. That if you could see anybody that you truly like at the Hollywood Bowl, that is an amazing venue because the acoustics of the canyon behind it. I really want to go see a concert at Red Rock too because I've heard it does the same thing. But I was able to see Linkin Park and 30 Seconds to Mars at Irvine Meadows before it closed. That was an epic concert, right? And that was before obviously before Chester committed suicide. But yeah, Linkin Park is another huge one. Linkin Park was really big in high school for me. They really did a lot to get me through high school. That was a very big band for me. And then 30 Seconds to Mars, I caught them towards the tail end of high school in my 20s and really got into them. But yeah, I was lucky enough to see Linkin Park and 30 Seconds to Mars. They headlined a concert together, and that was an awesome concert at Irvine Meadows for sure. Hazelnut Brown Ale. Yeah, I don't have them, but yeah, that is what I'm drinking. Rogue Hazelnut Brown Ale. But you know what? I started with a coffee thing. Modern Times. That's what I started with before the stream. Modern Times. It's a coffee beer. Coffee roasty stout. But I can only have one of those because if I drink two of those, I won't go to sleep. And then a Rogue Hazelnut Brown for sure. That's the next one. Amazing. Was I emo in high school? No, I wasn't emo. I was more of, I had bleach blonde hair, spiked, like an inch tall, bleach blonde in high school. I went through a couple different phases. In the beginning, I just had spiked hair, and then I bleached my hair for like, I think my senior pictures, I might have like bleached blonde hair, shaved. Well, not shaved. I didn't shave my head until after high school, but now I shave my head just because of convenience. It's easy. My hair grows so freaking fast. But no, I wasn't emo at all. No, but I did like Hawthorne Heights towards the end. I was into the emo bands. Hawthorne Heights is still one of my favorite bands too. That's another freaking epic one that got me through the tail end of high school was Hawthorne Heights, and then Blink 182. I actually met Travis Barker way back in the day before Blink 182 was even popular. Well, they were kind of coming up, and he opened a store here in Riverside called Famous Stars and Straps, and he had a location on Magnolia Avenue, and I was able to go down there with a buddy of mine and meet Travis Barker, the drummer, because he was there. That was his story. That was where his clothing line started, Famous Stars and Straps. But yeah, I was into all that, Blink 182, Hawthorne Heights, that kind of stuff. I kind of went through a bunch of different phases in high school. Let's see. Modern Times, yeah, it's good stuff. Styx is a great song or a great band too. I've seen Styx in concert, but it was kind of like one of their, it was like like a festival, that had like the remaining members of Styx and different things like that. But yeah, I like Blink a lot. Blink was a big one. So see you later, Steve. Yeah, I never saw Blink in concert of all things. I was synonymous. All my friends knew me as like a Blink fanboy, but I never saw them in concert. I didn't see concerts until after high school. That was like my heyday was after high school when I started going to concerts and stuff. I've since gone to a bunch of country concerts, and country concerts are good times, man. You go to a good country festival, that's good stuff. Me and my wife have gone to a few where we see the big festivals where you do different things. And yeah, lots of good times at those. Chris Cooley, do I do anything special on installs due to earthquakes? We use flex gas lines, and we're supposed to legally strap equipment down, kind of like a hurricane strap, but an earthquake strap. So that's about it. Scratch 21. I don't know that I've had that, Backyard Redneck. I'm assuming that's a beer, right? Send me an email. Let me know. Aerosmith. Hey, that was another junior high school band that I was really into, right? Because when Aerosmith released when they had those series of videos with Liv Tyler and Alicia Silverstone, right? And they had, I was an MTV person, so I watched all the MTV music videos. And Aerosmith, that's what got me into Aerosmith. And then I realized the cool music that they had. But at the time, the song Amazing, I think that one had Alicia Silverstone and Liv Tyler in it. And, as a teen, like a preteen, to see Alicia Silverstone, you're like, oh my gosh, this chick's hot. And then Liv Tyler for sure. But then that got me into Aerosmith. And then I realized like they had such a great catalog of stuff way before the late 90s, early 2000s, and then I realized all the amazing stuff they had. So, I miss the great music of the 70s. I do appreciate the great music of the 70s. I'm a huge Doobie Brothers fan. Huge. I really dig the Doobie Brothers, Crosby, Stills, and Nash for sure. Not so much that when Neil Young came with them for that short stint, a couple times I think he came in. I'm really not a Neil Young fan at all. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of Neil Young stuff I like. He kind of sounds like he's whining all the time. U2. U2 is another one. Yeah, Chris Cooley. I dig U2. The Rattle and Hum album or the Joshua Tree album, Rattle and Hum. The Joshua Tree album is an amazing album by U2. I listen to everything, guys. Like, seriously. What am I missing in here? Yeah, I would love to see U2. You want to know something funny? So I just recently found out, I think I said this on Zach's live stream a while back, but I recently found out that it's funny. Oh yeah, that's funny how many viewers I have when I'm just talking about bullshit. It's funny. It makes me laugh to think that there's still 190 people in here watching me just ramble about bullshit and not even about HVAC stuff. So I recently found out, I said this on one of Zach's Man with Issues podcast. I think it might've been one of his first ones. So, 3 years ago, I think it was 3. I heard a rumor that my biological mother, I don't know why this just came out, whatever, My biological mother had a kid, right, that I didn't know about. I don't talk to my biological mom anymore, but I moved away from her when I was like 12 or 13 years old. And I actually found out that it was true. And 2 years ago, or no, I think I'm coming up on a year. I have a 21-year-old sister. I'm 37. I'm going to be 37 this year. I have a 21-year-old sister I just met. She was adopted. Is that not a trip? I don't know what reminded me of that. I think I saw something in the chat or something that reminded me of that. But yeah, I met my 21-year-old sister recently. That's pretty cool. She lives local to me too. She lives in Tustin. I live in Riverside. She's like 30 minutes away from my house. She's lived here her whole life. What a trip, huh? Oh man. Yeah. Emails. Send me emails. You guys got anything? Have I ever gone out to Joshua Tree National Park? Maria 330. Yeah. My wife and I talk about it. It's been overpopulated and overpublicized too much lately, to the point that you have to have reservations to go to Joshua Tree National Park. But in high school, my wife and I dated in high school, and we had many trips to Joshua Tree National Park in high school and then after high school before we had kids. Jumbo Rocks Campground is my favorite campground in Joshua Tree National Park. Amazing place. I love it. Camping is like my passion. I haven't done it in many years and I need to get back into it. Backpacking in general, where you just have everything on your backpack, is genuinely my passion, but just camping in general, I would settle for. But Joshua Tree is one of my favorite places. Amazing place. Life is crazy, man. Yeah, it is. Yeah, sleep well tonight. Yeah, maybe. No, you're watching me, man. This is still live, Albert. This is beyond the HVAC talk, though. This is the after show. This is the after show, and I'm going to keep talking. The viewers are growing, and I'm literally talking about bullshit right now. There's nothing good coming out of my mouth other than me talking about real life. Maybe you guys want to hear about that. So, talking about my 21-year-old sister that I just met a year ago, or talking about the music that I like listening to. I should screw myself and play some music on this stream, but I'll get demonetized. And it's not even the demonetized, because I really don't make anything off these stream videos. But YouTube probably won't like it. They'll give me crap if I play music, but I wish there was a way that I could play music, like real music. I think I said this on the last live stream, but Ecstasy of Gold would be the intro song that I would choose. If I could do Ecstasy of Gold, I wish I would tell you the artist, but it's like Marcelloni, whatever, Baloney, something is his name. But it was written for the movie The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And that is an amazing intro song, and I want to use that. And Opie and Anthony actually used that on their intro for Sirius XM. That was an amazing song too, but I wish I could use that as my intro song. Chug, chug, chug. Yeah, there's no more. It's all empty. Ever been to the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri? No, I have never been to the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri. I'm actually was born in Missouri. I was born in Rolla, Missouri. I still have family in St. Louis, but I moved from Rolla, Missouri before I even knew about anything. I was 3 years old and I moved to California. But no, I've never been to Lake of the Ozarks. I did plenty of reports about Lake of the Ozarks and Missouri in general when I was in elementary school, because you had to do like reports about the state that you lived in and all that stuff. But nope, never been there. Right on, Joe. Thanks for coming in, man. Really appreciate it. Real life is, yeah, sure. All right. Oh, right on, bud. Thanks, Backyard Redneck. So, where is Ike? Yeah, Ike is from Missouri too. Ike probably already left, but me and him communicate all the time. Yeah, he's from Missouri. Oh, there he is. There he is. Can you have a shout out? Shannon Wesson. There you go, bud. It's all full of shout outs. There we go. We got nothing better to do than shout people out. I still can't believe there's this many people in this stream, and I'm literally talking about bullshit. That's funny. No duck boats. Yeah, I'm pretty much out of stuff to talk about, guys. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else on my thing. So, hello. Right on. All right, guys. I got nothing better to do. I need to go eat dinner. I'm really going to end this for real. I'm going to cue up the outro music again. And hey, guys, thank you so very much for coming in. Thanks for supporting the channel. And what was my favorite all-time movie? Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's twisted and horrible. I watched it way too young. I still enjoy it way too much. It's a musical about transvestite aliens that invade. Yeah, horrible movie. It's not a great favorite movie to have. I don't suggest letting your 9-year-old child watch that movie, but yes, I did watch that. So, no, I'm not a gamer at all. So, the awkward moment. Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm going to cue this up. Gentlemen, ladies. Oh, that's the wrong button. What the hell? What the hell? God damn it, Bobby. Where did this go? What the hell? Oh, front wheel. There we go. See, this is what happens when I try to cue up the outro music.